Well, hello, it's Darryl Davis again with another episode of the history of the Gosford Musical Society. Now, today I'm going to talk a bit about something that's dear to the hearts of everybody in the society, and that is the wonderful Laycock Street Community Theater. So today I would like to talk a bit about the building of that and the importance of the roles played by various people and groups in building this wonderful local theater. Why was there a need for a theater? Well, it's because there was no other place really to perform. There certainly was no professional theater. And even though, as I said before, this was a dream, an aim of the Musical Society way back in 1947. So I've got to say, and again, I'm giving you from a GMS point of view, but certainly GMS was the instigator of getting this theater built. It was there from the very beginning, trying to get a theater built here in Gosford. So let's look at some of the plans for that. And if I can paraphrase from a news article that was in 1982 Gosford Star, there was never any doubt about a need for a theater on the Central Coast. The problem was how to organize and how to fund such a costly enterprise. So the GMS committee began in 1985 a 3-year plan to build a theater on land next to the GMS rehearsal shed on Laycock Street. GMS had that facility built in 1982. Now, the major players from a GMS point of view are these people here in this picture. Kevin Booth was the president at that time, and he is our patron. There he is with his wife Nancy. Kevin, of course, owns Booth Motors. Don Craig becomes the first manager of the Laycock Street Community Theater. He, of course, at that time was a vice president of GMS. And we have Hans Drilsma, which is in a costume there from the Mikado way back in the early 80s. And he was actually the second in command of the New South Wales Forestry Commission. So he had good contacts with people in the state government. Well, encouraged in this quest was Gosford state member Brian Mcgowan. Brian was a big player in this opening fundraising stuff. Brian actually knew that funds were available from the Bicentennial Authority, and you'll see the Bicentennial insignia there, that there were funds available to build cultural sites like a theater. And now the Gosford City Council became very sympathetic to the cause that GMS had. One of the things I'm very proud of is a big billboard that was outside of the site where the theater is to be built on Laycock Street. And it clearly states, this project is funded by the New South Wales Bicentennial Council, which put in about $1 million, Gosford City Council, and Gosford Musical Society. Now that's really fantastic for us and to be very proud about. There were other people in the community also that put in money for this theater. The theater was going to take 40 weeks to build, and it was actually accomplished in that time, which is amazing. But the newspaper articles of the day said, and I've got 3 or 4 of them, that said that Gosford Musical Society was the instigator and motivator for this to be done. This is a man named Darryl Fry that worked in the box office, had photographs taken as the theater was being built. And you can see at the vacant land there, the Musical Society rehearsal sheds in the back, and that's when the cement truck first came to pour that first bed. And I love this picture because it shows the seats here on the left-hand side and the concrete slabs that went up. And on the right-hand side, you can see where that fly tower is. You see, that's what makes this theater so professional, is that fly tower. That's looking at from where the stage is up through the back. And you'll see where the seating are, but right in the middle in the back there is where our technicians sit during the production. A magnificent lighting desk that Damian Rice runs, huge computerized thing. We have, usually we have Dean, who's the tech manager, and he often does the sound. And there are a lot of other technicians that work. And that's what makes it so professional in this theater now, really professional. That's almost completion. They're just putting the final touches on the fly tower. And we'll see then from the Pacific Highway across the street, you can see what it looks like. It's a bit different today because some other rooms have been added on. In particular, the Don Craig room, which was not there when the theater was originally built. And the finished product from the car park. Now, if you've been to Laycock Street lately, you'll notice that car park's not there. It's because the theater was extended. So that part there, if you see the glass doors are still there, but between where I am and those doors, there is a foyer, and that's where the box office is today. So it's a bit different back and then. And that's the front of the theater as it is right now. Looking from when it was first built, that's what the stage looked like. That's a period when they were putting the floor down, and you'll see the lighting rack up at the top there. And the original colors of the seats were blue. And you can see that the orchestra pit is open at that stage on the stage itself. And this is what it looks like today. The red chairs, and you'll see the great lighting, and see the outside lighting and the lighting from the stage as well. When the lighting bars first went in, you'll see that how many that there are. Now you got to realize that GMS used to perform in a high school hall when you had 10 lights. Have a look at those. It's magnificent, the amount of lighting that there is. And that's what the old box office looked like. Very small and confined. There was one person that would sit in there. Today there are usually 3 or so people that are because it's now in the foyer part, which is different. And there's at the fly area there. You'll see each of the ropes or where the ropes are, and that's what makes the theater, as I've said many times before, makes it such a professional theater. And that's an example of the first flies that were used in the very first production. If you'll have a look there at the archway, like the window, that's on a fly line. And when it goes in, there's somebody back in the back that's running that. And when it goes up, there's somebody that pulls it up as well. Now that's an example of a shot from the pit. This is a show that I directed called Shrek the Musical. And there's the musical director, and you'll see there the orchestra's in the pit there. And they have a good time, the orchestra. Have a look at this one. They decorated this for South Pacific. They all came on South Pacific night with their Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. Now that's the original dressing room. When there was only one dressing room here at Laycock Street, only one dressing room. And this was for the very first show they did. You'll see the racks on both sides, and the men were on one side, the women on another. Later on, they actually put a curtain across the middle, and the ladies would change on one side and the men on the other. Since that time, of course, a fantastic dressing room is stage left on the other side of the stage, the building, and that's mainly used for, in most of the GMS shows, for the females. And it's got monitors, and it's a great spot. Now that's what the old control desk looked like, and I'm sure that if Dean or Damien saw this, they would get a chuckle. That was the original GMS lighting and sound desk. And have a look at that spotlight. I mean, that's a spotlight that's seen some use. Again, all that came from GMS until, of course, later that the high-tech stuff was bought. Now, what happened was that we have a first celebration, and to commemorate the Laycock Street Bicentennial Community Theater to open, GMS put on a show called Let's Celebrate. And there's a slide that shows that's the outline of the program. Inside the program were all the people that performed. That's a ticket that gets you into Let's Celebrate, and that show was on August the 18th. So that was the very first show that was ever at Laycock Street Community Theater at 8 o'clock. The tickets was $20 for that opening night, and for the rest of the 3 weeks, it was $10 a night, which was still quite a bit of money back then. And you can see these are the ladies that were the front of house. And I'm sure that in 1988, that was the stylish look. I don't know that today that would really be in Vogue magazine. But in 1988, that was a very, very interesting look. Now we have the opening number. Well, and I can remember being behind that curtain when it first went up. The excitement that we had. The excitement that our theater, our own Gosford Theater was there. That curtain goes up, and we sang a song from the My Fair Lady, the Askagavat, but instead of singing the words, they put in local names, like, you know, they had Gosford names and so forth in it. It was really amazing. Now, they had lots of different scenes. This was from Fiddler on the Roof. That we did scenes out of South Pacific, Fiddler, Cats, lots of different scenes. And you'll see this one, one of the Mounties. They had a Mountie, as you can see here. That was a very funny production number. And the girls on the far side, the three girls, they were the choreographers. And they dressed up in the Cats outfit and were in that segment, which was a highlight. And just finally, we have the Gosford Star had the notion of the first opening. So the Dream Theater is open. And there's the premiere at that time. Nick Greiner came, and we did a special presentation with him here at Gosford. This was after we had finished that first show. But that was big, really good stuff. And I suppose just finally what I can say that the Laycock Street Community Theater has provided a wide variety of entertainment, ranging from excellent musicals and local productions, dramatic shows, annual youth and performing arts, concerts, orchestral recitals, operas, and professional touring shows. So the creation of that theater is an example of what can be accomplished through a community working to achieve a specific goal. Look, it is a fabulous theater in which to act on, or certainly to watch a show from. Outstanding personnel work in that theater, management, technicians, volunteers. Thank you.